The Billionaire's Sunshine 2. She showed up at my door while I was 8 months pregnant. Designer heels. Perfect hair. Eyes that looked like they'd been crying for months. "My name is Helena Chen," she said. And I was supposed to be Daniel's wife. She had photos. Engagement photos. Dated 2 months before Vegas. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was what I discovered about my father, the man I thought abandoned me 15 years ago. Turns out, he didn't leave because he stopped loving me. He left because Helena's family threatened to kill me. And now she's back. She wants my husband's company. She wants everything we've built. But then I found something buried in her father's files. A secret project he had personally spent millions on 15 years ago. I didn't know its name yet. But someone was about to tell me it had been named after me. And nobody would tell me why. Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go watch part 1 immediately, I'll wait. For my returning family, you already know this story had us in a chokehold. But part 1 was the appetizer. This is the main course, the dessert, and the chaos. Grab your snacks. Let's get into it. 8 months after the Vegas wedding. Life was perfect. Suspiciously perfect. The kind of perfect where the sun is shining and the birds are singing, and somewhere in the universe, something terrible is gathering speed, because the world simply does not allow that much happiness without a correction. I should have known better. Our Brooklyn brownstone had become my sanctuary. Daniel and I had settled into a rhythm that felt almost normal, if normal included a billionaire husband who kept a rock collection in his home office and a wife who stress-ate shrimp tacos at 2 in the morning while watching true crime documentaries. I was 8 months pregnant. Uncomfortable. Emotional. Constantly hungry. Daniel had been incredible through all of it. Foot rubs at midnight. Cravings runs at dawn. Exactly 2 sugars in my coffee, every single morning, without being asked. That's love. But there were cracks. Small ones. Phone calls he'd take in the other room. Late nights at the office that stretched later and later. A tension behind his eyes that he thought I couldn't see. I saw it. I just didn't know what it meant yet. Then the doorbell rang. Daniel was at work. I wasn't expecting anyone. I made my way to the door, because at 8 months pregnant, walking was a generous description of my movement, and opened it. A woman stood on my doorstep. Stunning. Devastatingly, aggressively stunning. I was standing there in Daniel's oversized MIT sweatshirt, my hair unwashed and my swollen feet aching, and I became painfully aware of how vulnerable I looked. She was tall. Elegant. Cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass. Hair so black it seemed to absorb every bit of light around it. But her eyes. They weren't cold. They were hurt. Genuinely, deeply hurt. The kind of hurt that lives in your bones and rewrites your face from the inside out. Sunshine, right? Her voice was controlled. Careful. Like she was holding herself together through sheer force of will. It's Sunshine Kim now. Of course it is. A bitter smile that didn't reach those wounded eyes. May I come in? Every instinct screamed no. The baby kicked hard, which I also interpreted as no. But something about that raw, unguarded expression, the look of someone who'd been broken and was trying very hard not to show it, made me step aside. She walked in slowly. Her heels clicked against our hardwood floors. She looked around our home not with disdain, not with contempt, but with something far worse. Recognition. The look of someone seeing a life she had imagined for herself. She noticed the framed photos on the wall, our backyard wedding, the honeymoon in Italy, the ultrasound picture stuck to the refrigerator with a taco-shaped magnet. Then she sat down. Crossed her legs. Folded her hands in her lap. My name is Helena Chen. And I was supposed to be Daniel's wife. His what? His fiancée. For 2 years. Her hands were trembling slightly. Our families arranged it when we were 19. A business arrangement at first, his family's company and mine, united through marriage. Old-fashioned. Archaic. But both families wanted it. She paused. I didn't want it either, at first. Who wants an arranged marriage in the 21st century? But Daniel had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. He remembered small things. Brought me coffee exactly how I liked it. Made me laugh when I didn't think I could. A soft, pained laugh. Over time, I started to believe it could be real. He would have told me. Would he? She pulled out her phone and showed me the screen. Photos. Daniel and Helena at a gala, his arm around her waist, both of them smiling. Daniel and Helena on a yacht, the ocean bright behind them. Daniel and Helena at what was clearly an engagement party, roses everywhere, champagne glasses raised, and a diamond ring on her finger. I read the timestamp 3 times. 14 months ago. 2 months before Vegas. 2 months before me. He broke it off 3 days before our wedding, Helena said. 3 days. After 2 years of planning. After invitations had been sent. After I had told my dying father that I would be taken care of. She wiped her eyes quickly. Angrily. He said there was someone else. Someone from his childhood he'd never gotten over. She looked at me. You. A woman he hadn't seen in 15 years. I read the timestamp a 4th time. My husband. With another woman. Looking happy. My father built Chen Industries from nothing, Helena continued, her voice steadying. An immigrant who arrived in this country with $11 and a dream. When he died, I spent 2 years fighting to keep everything he built alive. Board members who didn't believe a woman could lead. Relatives trying to take my shares. I held on because I believed Daniel would stand beside me. She stood. Smoothed her dress. I didn't come here to destroy your marriage. I came because you deserve to know who you actually married. She placed a business card on the coffee table. Then she stopped at the door. Glanced at my stomach. For what it's worth, she said quietly, I hope your daughter never has to learn what it feels like to be abandoned by someone she trusted. She left. And I sat on that couch, 8 months pregnant, Daniel's sweatshirt wrapped around me like armor that suddenly had holes in it, staring at photos of a life I never knew existed. I didn't call Daniel immediately. I researched. Helena Chen. CEO of Chen Industries. One of the largest tech conglomerates in Asia. Worth billions on paper, but the numbers told a more complicated story. Since her father's death, the company had been hemorrhaging value. Board conflicts. Management turnover. 3 consecutive quarters of declining revenue. She was fighting a war on multiple fronts, against her own board, against market forces, against relatives who wanted her gone. She was hanging on by her fingernails. Then I found a business filing from 4 months ago. Chen Industries had quietly acquired 12% of Kim Technologies stock. She had started buying the week after our wedding went public. Helena wasn't coming for my husband's heart. She was coming for his empire. His technology. His market share. His revenue. She didn't need Daniel to love her. She needed his company to survive. Chen Industries was weeks away from collapse. If it fell, thousands would lose jobs. Her father's legacy would disappear. And every questionable decision her family had ever made would become public. She wasn't just a scorned ex-fiancée. She was a desperate woman with everything to lose. A heartbroken woman is unpredictable. A desperate woman is unstoppable. I kept searching. Old filings. Archived documents. The kinds of things most people never bother to find. Then I found something strange. An internal project listing from Chen Industries, dated 15 years ago. The project name had been completely redacted. Every reference to it scrubbed from every document I could find. Personally overseen by Richard Chen himself, not delegated, not managed by a team. Richard alone. With a funding allocation far too large for any normal internal operation. I couldn't explain why, but looking at that redacted entry made my stomach tighten. I saved the page. I didn't know why. I just knew I wasn't ready to let it go. Daniel came home at 8. Sunshine? How was your? Who is Helena Chen? The smile vanished. Guilt flashed across his face before he could compose himself. Where did you hear that name? She was here. In our house. Showing me photos of your engagement. Sunshine, let me explain. Explain what? That you had a fiancé for 2 years? That our entire love story might just be your convenient escape route from an arranged marriage? It's not like that. Then tell me what it is like. Daniel lowered himself to his knees in front of me. Slowly. Like a man whose legs had simply given out. Helena and I were engaged, he said quietly. Our families arranged it when we were 19. I tried to make it work. But I never loved her. She seemed to think you did. I cared about her. I respected her. But love? He shook his head. I've only ever loved one person. When I saw you at the Bellagio, everything I'd been telling myself, that duty mattered more than love, that I could learn to be happy, it all fell apart. You humiliated her. 3 days before your wedding. I know. I carry that. But staying would have been worse for both of us. His voice dropped. I should have told you about her. I was afraid you'd think everything between us was fake. That I only married you to escape her. Wasn't it? No. His grip tightened on my hands. I have loved you since we were 7 years old. Helena was a mistake I was trying to fix. You are the life I've always wanted. I wanted to believe him. But something wasn't settling. What else aren't you telling me? He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Daniel. There's something else. I need you to trust me. Trust you? After you hid an entire engagement? I know how this sounds. It sounds like I'm married to a stranger. I pushed myself up from the couch. Sunshine, please. I'm going to the guest room. And Daniel? I turned at the stairs. If I discover one more thing about my life that you knew before I did, I'm done. I didn't look back. The next morning, Daniel handed me a manila folder. No more secrets. But what I'm about to tell you changes everything. He opened the folder himself. Then he said the words that stopped the air in my lungs. I know where your father is. I've known for 6 months. I lowered the folder. You what? My investigator found him. Seattle. Living under a different name. You've known where my father is for 6 months. And I? And you didn't tell me? 6 months, Daniel? Your father didn't want contact. Not yet. He said it quickly, but his eyes were steady. Michael reached out to me through a secure channel after he realized who I was, who I'd married. He was afraid. Richard Chen's network, the people who helped cover up what happened to him 20 years ago, some of them are still in positions of power. Your father believed that if he came forward too soon, before I had enough evidence to protect him, they would make sure he disappeared for good. So he chose to contact you. Not me. He was terrified of putting you at risk. He agreed to speak with me only because I could protect the communication. Daniel's voice broke slightly. He told me to tell you, when the time was right, that not a single day passed when he didn't think about you. I wanted to be angry. I was angry. But beneath it, something else. relief, and a grief so old it had calcified into something I'd stopped recognizing as grief at all. "Tell me everything," I said. "Right now. All of it." Flashback, 20 years ago. I was 7 years old, and my father was my hero. Michael Wright smelled like sawdust because he built beautiful things. Furniture. Cabinets. And once, a treehouse just for me, with my name carved above the door. "Daddy, look." I ran to him with dandelions. "I picked these for you. They're beautiful, sunshine. Almost as beautiful as you." "Daddy, can I ask you something?" "Anything, baby girl." "Daniel Kim says he wants to marry me when we grow up. Should I let him?" He laughed. That big, warm, earth-shaking laugh. "You can marry anyone you want. But make sure he deserves you first. Make him prove it. Every single day." I nodded solemnly, like I was receiving classified instructions. "Okay, Daddy. I'll make him prove it." What I didn't know then was that my father was about to disappear. Not because he stopped loving me, but because he had seen something he shouldn't have. And the people who wanted that secret kept were willing to destroy anyone who threatened it. Including a 7-year-old girl. Before your father was a carpenter, he was a senior financial accountant. He worked for Chen Industries, responsible for reconciling several of their international subsidiaries. Daniel's voice was careful. Measured. He discovered that Richard Chen was routing payments through shell companies in multiple countries. Millions being siphoned from the company into accounts nobody was supposed to find. My father found this? He found it. He reported it. Because he was an honest man. And Richard destroyed him for it. Richard didn't do it himself. He never had to. Daniel leaned forward. He had spent years building a network of people who protected him. Lawyers who buried documents. Executives who destroyed records. Investigators who were paid to look the other way. He didn't threaten people himself. He simply had a machine that made problems disappear. And my father was a problem. He fabricated evidence. Made your father look like the embezzler. Blacklisted him from every financial firm in the country. Then he sent threats. What kind of threats? Photos. Of your house. Your school. Of you, sunshine, walking home, playing in the yard. With handwritten notes attached. My fingers went numb. What did the notes say? Beautiful daughter. Would be a shame if something happened to her. Something inside me broke. For 15 years, I had carried the same question. Why wasn't I enough for him to stay? And now I had my answer. I had never been the reason he left. I was the reason he ran. He took copies of the original financial records before Richard could destroy them, Daniel continued gently. He hid them because releasing them alone, without proof of the threats, would only put you in more danger. He also has an encrypted drive containing Richard's actual instructions to fabricate the evidence against him. But he couldn't come forward until someone powerful enough could fight back. Until it was safe. And you've been building that case. For over a year. Against everyone involved in the cover-up. Board members, executives, lawyers, people still in positions of power. People Helena depends on. But you're not ready. Some documents exist only as scans. Others were copied years ago. Before prosecutors can touch them, we need experts to verify metadata, signatures, dates, chain of custody. He rubbed his temples. It takes time we're running out of. How long? Weeks. Maybe more. And Helena moves faster every day. I know. I don't need you to protect me, Daniel. I need you to trust me with the truth. He met my eyes. No more secrets. No more secrets. Flashback, the last time I saw my father. I was 10 years old. He came to my school. I didn't know why. I was just happy to see him. Daddy. I ran into his arms. Why are you here? Mama said you were gone. I had to see you, baby girl. He was crying. I had never seen my father cry before. One more time. One more time? Are you going somewhere? I need you to remember something. Can you do that for me? Yes, Daddy. I love you. No matter what anyone says, no matter what you hear about me, I love you more than anything in this world. And one day. His voice shattered. One day, I'm going to make everything right. I promise. When will I see you again? He held me so tight it almost hurt. Soon, baby girl. Soon. I waited for soon. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every night before sleep. Soon never came. Until now. 3 weeks passed. Daniel's legal team grew. More lawyers. More investigators. More people digging quietly into decades of buried corruption. And Vivian, Daniel's half-sister, had been helping too. She had access to old family correspondence from when her father and Richard Chen were business associates. Documents that could connect Richard's network to people still operating today. She had recently made contact with a potential whistleblower inside Chen Industries. She had been getting close. Then, on a Tuesday morning, Daniel's phone rang. He answered. Listened for 5 seconds. Vivian's been in an accident. Her car had been run off the road. The other driver fled. No witnesses. The anonymous message had arrived less than 12 hours before. You should have stopped digging. We had ignored it. We shouldn't have. Vivian was in the ICU. Broken ribs. Punctured lung. Head trauma. Stable but unconscious. I stood with Daniel in the hospital hallway. You think Helena did this? He was quiet for a long time. I don't know. But someone wanted us to think she did. What do you mean? Helena is ruthless. But she's also strategic. If she wanted to intimidate us, she'd do it in a way that couldn't be traced back to her. This was loud. Messy. He shook his head. It feels like someone wants our eyes on Helena while something else is happening. A detective approached us. Mr. Kim. We recovered something from your sister's vehicle. Hidden beneath the driver's seat. He held up an evidence bag. Inside was a black envelope. No fingerprints. No sender. No explanation. 3 words written across the front in precise, careful handwriting. Project Sunshine. And on the back, one single word. Vivian. Daniel and I looked at each other. Neither of us spoke. Because I had seen those 2 words before. A redacted file. A scrubbed project listing. An enormous funding allocation personally overseen by Richard Chen. It wasn't a coincidence. Nothing about this had ever been a coincidence. 2 days later, weeks earlier than expected, my water broke. Nyla Rose Kim was born at 11:47 p.m. 6 pounds, 8 ounces. 10 fingers. 10 toes. A full head of dark hair and a scream that filled the entire room. Daniel cried when he held her. I had spent 9 months fearing the world my daughter would be born into. I just hadn't realized the world would already be waiting for her. My father watched through an encrypted video connection Daniel's security team had arranged, my father still refusing to reveal his exact location, still careful, still protecting us even from a distance. Tears ran down his weathered face. She's beautiful, Sunshine. I know, Daddy. I'm coming home soon. As soon as it's safe. I know. For one perfect moment, nothing else mattered. 1 week later, Helena called a press conference. We watched it live. Nyla sleeping in my arms. Daniel beside me on the couch. Helena stood at a podium in a charcoal suit. Composed. Controlled. Formidable. My father built Chen Industries from nothing. When he died, I swore I would protect his legacy. She paused. Allegations of financial misconduct were made against Chen Industries 20 years ago by a former employee named Michael Wright. Those allegations were thoroughly investigated. Mr. Wright was found to have embezzled company funds. He fled rather than face prosecution. I gripped Daniel's hand. I have recently learned that Mr. Wright's daughter, Sunshine Kim, has married Daniel Kim, the CEO of Kim Technologies. I don't blame Mrs. Kim for her father's crimes. But shareholders and the public deserve transparency. Documents appeared on screen behind her. Fabricated financial records. My father's face. The word fraud in capital letters. Given these revelations, and the ongoing instability in Kim Technologies' leadership, Chen Industries will be making a formal bid to acquire Kim Technologies. Helena had been preparing this for weeks. She had simply chosen the moment our family was most vulnerable to announce it. Within minutes, 2 major institutional investors announced they were reviewing their positions. Then Helena looked directly at the camera. And for just a moment, the professional mask slipped. Not cruelty. Not triumph. Exhaustion. The desperate, bone-deep exhaustion of a woman who had been fighting every single day just to survive. Then it was gone. The press conference ended. She timed it perfectly, I said. Newborn baby. Vivian in the hospital. I have evidence. But releasing it now, incomplete, she'll tear it apart. Her lawyers are better funded than mine at this moment, and she knows it. Then we need another way in. Daniel looked at me. Helena has a brother, I said. Marcus. Daniel's jaw tightened. He was supposed to inherit half of Chen Industries. After Richard died, Helena forged documents and took his shares. Pushed him out of the company, out of the board, out of everything. So he hates her. He's been looking for a way to fight back for 2 years. But he doesn't have power or resources. Helena made sure of that. He has something better than power. He has access. He grew up inside that family. He knows where everything is buried. I showed Daniel my phone. A message that had arrived during the press conference. Marcus Chen, Mrs. Kim. I believe we have a common enemy. I have information that will destroy my sister. Meet me tomorrow. Alone. Daniel cannot know. Anyone who tells you to keep a secret from your husband is either protecting you or preparing you. I knew that. But I also knew something else. Daniel's evidence wasn't ready. Helena was dismantling everything in real time. Vivian was unconscious. My father was hiding. And somewhere in Chen Industries' past was a secret with my name on it. Waiting wasn't protecting us anymore. It was killing us. No. Daniel said it before I could speak. Daniel. Absolutely not. I'm not sending you into a room with a Chen alone. For all we know, Helena sent this herself. If Helena sent it, she already knows we're building a case. Either way, we need what Marcus has. There has to be another. There isn't. Your evidence needs weeks. Helena is moving now. Every day we wait, more investors pull back, your board gets more nervous, and she gets closer to taking everything. He stared at me. He hated that I was right. I could see it, the way his jaw worked, the way his hands clenched. The battle between the instinct to protect me and the knowledge that I was correct. You wear a wire, he finally said. And someone follows you. Non-negotiable. Deal. I started toward the bedroom. Sunshine. I turned. Daniel was sitting on the couch, Nyla's bassinet beside him, looking at me like I was simultaneously the bravest and most terrifying person he had ever known. He wasn't trying to control me. He was terrified. And somehow, that made saying yes even harder. "Make sure you win," he said quietly. "Oh, baby." I smiled. "I always win." I closed the door. But beneath the bravado, my hands were shaking. That night, while Daniel slept, I checked my phone. A message from Seattle. "Dad, sunshine. I've been watching Helena's moves. Something doesn't add up. She's not just after Daniel's company. There's something in the old Chen Industries files, something Richard hid before he died. Something connected to you. Whatever it is, Helena found it first. That's why she's so desperate. She's terrified someone else will find it before she can contain it." "Me, connected to me? How?" "Dad, I don't know yet. Be careful tomorrow. Marcus isn't trustworthy. Nobody in that family is. Whatever he offers you, don't agree to anything. Just listen." I stared at the screen. Marcus said, "Daniel cannot know." My father said, "Marcus isn't trustworthy." 2 warnings. 2 different directions. Then another message arrived. Unknown number. Unknown, Mrs. Kim. "I know you're meeting Marcus tomorrow." My pulse spiked. "Me, who is this?" "Unknown, someone who's been watching you longer than you know." "Me, what do you want?" "Unknown, the truth." A pause. Then. "Unknown, you moved Nyla's bassinet 3 inches away from the window tonight. Because you thought the draft was bothering her." I stopped breathing. The curtains were closed. The doors were locked. The alarm was set. Nobody could see inside our bedroom. Unless they were already watching. Not guessing. Not researching. Watching. My fingers had gone numb around the phone. Unknown, ask Marcus about Project Sunshine. Project Sunshine. The redacted file I had saved and couldn't forget. The black envelope in Vivian's car. Me, what is Project Sunshine? Unknown, ask him why Richard Chen named it after you. I read the sentence 3 times. Richard Chen had never met me, not that I knew of. So why would he name a secret project after a 7-year-old girl? Why would a man powerful enough to destroy careers, silence witnesses, and run a corruption network spanning multiple countries spend millions on something connected to the daughter of an accountant he'd already crushed? Then one final message appeared. Unknown, whatever Marcus tells you tomorrow, don't let Daniel know. A pause. Then. Unknown, because Daniel has been lying to you too. I lowered the phone. I looked through the bedroom door. Daniel sleeping. Nyla in her bassinet, the yellow blanket rising and falling with each tiny breath. Tomorrow, I would sit across from Marcus Chen with a wire under my shirt. And for the first time, I wasn't sure whether the person I needed to fear was sitting across from me. Or sleeping beside me. What do you think Project Sunshine is? Do you trust Marcus? Do you trust Sunshine's father? And after everything we've learned, do you still trust Daniel? Drop your theory in the comments before you leave. I want to know who you trust the least right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because part 3 is where we finally go inside Project Sunshine. I'll see you there. Stay blessed, stay beautiful. Peace and love. 2 hearts. To be continued.